My husband's milk habit uncovered a 12-year-old federal secret. I never thought I'd be the person posting on here, but I don't know who else to talk to. My husband, Mark, is the kind of guy who remembers your favorite flower and actually listens when you talk about your day. We've been married for 6 years. He's a software consultant, works in the den from 9 to 5, and we have a very comfortable life in a quiet suburb. The milk thing started in October. Mark volunteered to do the grocery shopping, which was fine by me. But then I noticed our grocery bill was climbing. I looked at the receipts. October 14th, to gallons of whole milk. October 18th, to gallons of whole milk. October 21st, to gallons of whole milk. I'm lactose intolerant. Mark drinks black coffee and barely eats cereal. I started checking the fridge. The milk was there in the morning, but by the time I got home from my job at the law firm, the jugs were gone. Not in the trash. Not in the recycling. Just gone. When I asked him, he gave me this weirdly charming smile and said, "I've been making protein shakes, babe. Trying to bulk up for the winter." But Mark wasn't getting bigger. In fact, he looked stressed. He was losing weight. I started doing what every crazy wife does. I checked the car's GPS history. Mark had deleted it. That was the first red flag. Mark doesn't even know how to clear his browser cache, so why clear the car's history? I decided to take a sick day from work and waited at the end of our street in a rental car. At 10:30 a.m., Mark came out of the house carrying a heavy insulated grocery bag. He drove to a neighborhood I didn't recognize, a place where the houses were smaller and the lawns weren't as well kept. He parked in front of a blue bungalow. An elderly woman, maybe in her late 60s, was waiting on the porch. He didn't just give her the bag, he hugged her. He stayed there for 3 hours. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach. I thought, he has a secret family. This is his mother-in-law from a previous life. He's a bigamist. I didn't confront him. I'm a paralegal. I know that if you want the truth, you need evidence. I called a private investigator named Elias. Elias followed Mark for a week. He sent me a folder of photos. Mark wasn't just visiting the woman. He was doing her laundry. He was painting her shutters. He was taking her to the pharmacy. Is he sleeping with her? I asked Elias, my voice trembling. No, Elias said. He's taking care of her. But here's the weird part. That house? It's paid for in cash by a shell corporation. And the woman, her name is Margaret. She doesn't have a social security number that's been active since 2012. I broke down that night. I confronted Mark. I threw the photos on the kitchen island. Mark didn't get angry. He fell to his knees and started sobbing. "I'm sorry," he gasped. "I didn't want to bring you into this. That woman, she's my mother." "Your mother died in a car crash when you were 22, I said. I went to the funeral, Mark. That was a closed casket, he whispered. My father, he's a monster. He tried to kill her for the insurance money. She faked her death to get away from him. I found her living in a shelter 3 years ago and I've been hiding her ever since. If my dad finds out she's alive, he'll finish the job." I believed him. Why wouldn't I? It was a beautiful, tragic story of a son protecting his mom. For 2 weeks, I was the supportive wife. I even visited Margaret. She was sweet. Bake you cookies sweet. The milk continued. Every Tuesday and Friday, Mark insisted on being the only one to deliver it. One day, I went to Margaret's house alone to drop off some magazines. She wasn't home, but the back door was unlocked. I know, I shouldn't have gone in, but I did. The house was spotless. Too spotless. I went to the kitchen and opened the fridge. There were 16 gallons of milk. None of them were opened. I picked one up. It was heavy. Way too heavy for a gallon of liquid. I shook it. No sloshing. I took a kitchen knife and sliced into the plastic. It wasn't milk. It was a white, wax-like substance poured into the top 3 inches to look like liquid through the plastic. Under the wax, there were bundles of $100 bills, thousands of them, all vacuum sealed in plastic. I heard the front door open. I hid in the pantry. I saw Mark walk in with Margaret, but Margaret wasn't walking with a cane anymore. She was moving with the energy of a drill sergeant. "The judge's daughter is getting suspicious," Margaret said. Her voice wasn't sweet. It was cold. "I have her under control," Mark replied. His voice. It wasn't my husband's voice. It was flat. "She thinks I'm a hero. She thinks you're my abused mother. She never look at the finances." "The milk needs to move by the 15th, Margaret said. "The offshore account in the Caymans is ready. We just need her father to sign off on the development project in the North District. Once the judge signs that permit, the money is clean, and we're gone." My heart stopped. My father is a Superior Court judge. He's currently presiding over a massive urban development project. Mark didn't marry me for my personality. He married me to get close to the man who could unknowingly clean his stolen millions. I slipped out the back window and ran. I didn't go home. I went to my father's office and told him everything. He called the FBI. They told me to go back, to pretend I didn't know. For 3 days, I lived in that house with Mark, eating dinner with a man who was using me as a human shield for a money laundering empire. The FBI explained the milk. The Margaret woman was Sarah Vane, a white-collar criminal who disappeared in 2012. Mark was her protege. They had been slowly moving for $1 million in cash through milk drops small enough to not trigger bank alerts, but frequent enough to build a fortune. The night of the 15th, the FBI swarmed the Blue Bungalow. They caught Mark and Sarah in the middle of opening the jugs. When they searched our house, they found my wedding ring box. Inside wasn't a spare key or a piece of jewelry. It was a GPS tracker Mark had been using to watch my every move. He knew I had visited the house. He was just waiting for the signature to dispose of me. It's been 6 months. The divorce went through last week. Mark and Sarah are facing 20 years in federal prison. I still live in the same town, but I changed my locks, my car, and my life. And the weirdest part, I can't even walk down the dairy aisle at the grocery store without shaking. People always say trust your gut. Micah told me the milk was weird. I just didn't realize how curdled my whole life really was.